You've been scanning for status all your life. You just don't know. Now's the chance to learn the whys and the how behind why it's beneficial to learn about status. In this video, I'll break down the basics of status, how status is assessed, and the benefits of high status. Humans are social animals with a need to belong. Being alone, out in the open, in isolation, does not bode well with survival out in the world thousands of years ago, and it still holds true today. It's not like it's a basketball game where you call ISO on the game of life and survival. We're out here to survive as groups, and more importantly, to thrive as groups. Status is as much of a motivational mechanism as it is a tool for group success. For groups to achieve success, we will first need to identify who are the competent ones and rank them by different criteria so that the group can function optimally. We're evolved to instinctively gain an understanding of how we fare compared to those around us. We're extremely sensitive to our immediate environment and surroundings. We're also very socially aware, and we rely on this instinct to read status cues, as it's an easy way for us to calculate where we sit in the social hierarchy. Once recognizing where we stand relative to other people around, there's only one thing to do: to improve and up our rank. There are two things we can use for status assessment: economic capital and cultural capital. Economic capital is tangible. Tangible resources at your disposal. This is observation of the possessions you own, what you wear, the car you drive, the house you live in, and the company you work at. You'll see mostly people who've earned their wealth fast flaunt economic capital to flex and attempt to increase their perceived social status. Then there's also cultural capital, where it's intangible, a resource that cannot be seen as easily through overt observation. It would come in the form of skills, knowledge, and cultural experiences that is acquired through learning and investing over time. This is what elites, or what you call old money, lean into. We are able to assess status through economic and cultural capital, but this assessment in itself is also related to what the social group deems important. For instance, if you live in a country which is a really big social group, where knowledge is agreed upon as a more worthy indicator of status, then cultural capital prevails, and vice versa. But if the criteria to attain high status and to be perceived as someone with high status is so prone to interpretation and complication, why do people still strive for high status nonetheless? Now, there are three main benefits. The most obvious one is mating options. The higher your status in a given hierarchy, the more mating options are available to you, as both men and women are attracted to high status partners. One example is high status awarded as a result of fame. Think of your K-pop stars and rock stars with a crazy following, with a bunch of fans and groupies. That's evidence of this benefit. Very famous, high status, and you have a bunch of mating options. Although you might not actually partake in the act of, but it's still evidence showing that there is such a relationship between high status and the availability of mating options. The fame that they have implies high status, hence high value, hence a bigger pool of potential mates. Now, another thing is preferential treatment. If you have high status, people will treat you nicer, strangers will respect you more, and people will flock towards you and want to befriend you. The reason why these strangers do this is for them to gain status through association. I know this person of higher status, so therefore I can also be perceived as someone with higher status. A story I will never forget is this story of a professional golfer where he said when he was a golfer just starting out in a press conference, he would tell a joke and no one in the room will laugh. Absolutely silent, not even a chuckle. But after he attained higher status through winning a lot more tournaments, he would tell the same joke and the entire room would burst out laughing their asses off. It's the same joke told by the same person. The difference? The status of the person telling the joke. Although there are downsides as well to preferential treatment, which will make relationships less authentic and harder to navigate, it is oftentimes a common reward of having high status, preferential treatment. Last benefit is the ability to set trends and dismiss conventional norms. Take fashion, for example. Who exactly are the ones out there trailblazing and setting the trends, breaking all the rules? Who are the ones the masses look up to and imitate in ways they can afford to? It's the elites at the very top. If a celebrity or billionaire pulls up in an absolutely ridiculous outfit, people might follow suit and imitate the way they dress. The media might even report on this as being a new trend that's poppin' and how to replicate this look yourself. If an average person tries a ridiculous outfit, most people would just think that this person is an absolute bum. No influence. It is precisely high status that allows the elites to do this, to break rules, to set trends, while the average person cannot. With all this being said, the first rule of the status club is that there is no status club. In most cases, we will not admit that we are status craving creatures and rarely bring up the topic of status because speaking about it and exposing other people's intentions and strategies positions you as someone dangerous, someone who has the potential to sabotage and call you out on your plans to attain higher status. Therefore, speaking openly about status overtly lowers your perceived status. However, we are also quick to point out status signaling behaviors of other people as it downgrades other people and raises ourselves up. There is nothing more human about this contradiction. For me, I'll be the guy who does both. I'll point out these behaviors and I will admit that we are status craving creatures. But my intention is not to harm, but to get people to see the world through a different lens, a more animalistic lens that can pull you towards what matters most to you and not what others want you to do. Status itself is not inherently good or bad. It's a part of us. It's inherent. It's a part of us that can be used for motivation to strive and improve for the better. I'll see you in the next one.